On the night of March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 prepared for its journey from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. It was a routine red-eye flight, scheduled to last just under 7 hours. On board were 239 people, families, students, business travelers, children. Some were heading home, others off for work, others beginning an adventure. The aircraft itself was a Boeing 777, considered one of the safest and most reliable jets in the world. The captain was an experienced pilot with more than 18,000 hours of flight time. His co-pilot, though younger, was competent and well-trained. Everything about the night seemed ordinary. At 12:41 a.m., the jet lifted smoothly into the humid Malaysian night. For the first 39 minutes, all communications were normal. Then, as the plane prepared to leave Malaysian airspace and enter Vietnamese control, air traffic controllers made routine contact. The reply from the cockpit was calm. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those would be the last known words from MH370. Just 2 minutes later, the plane's transponder, the system that communicates its location to civilian radar, suddenly went dark. To controllers on the ground, it was as if the plane had ceased to exist. At first, it was assumed to be a technical glitch. But as minutes passed and no contact came, concern grew. The jet never checked in with Vietnamese air traffic control. Calls went unanswered. Unknown to civilian controllers, military radar was still watching, and what it saw was deeply puzzling. Instead of continuing north toward Beijing, MH370 turned sharply to the west. It flew back across the Malay Peninsula, then out over the Strait of Malacca. At one point, the aircraft even changed altitude, climbing and descending in ways that suggested deliberate control. Then, radar contact faded. Hours later, satellites in orbit detected faint handshakes, tiny bursts of data as the plane attempted to connect with ground stations. These signals suggested the jet remained airborne for nearly 7 more hours. But its path could only be narrowed to 2 vast arcs, one stretching north into Central Asia, the other plunging south into the emptiness of the Indian Ocean. When the plane failed to arrive in Beijing, panic set in. Families who had been waiting at the airport received no answers, only confusion and conflicting reports. A multinational search began, quickly becoming the largest in aviation history. Dozens of ships, planes, and satellites were deployed. At first, they scoured the South China Sea, the logical place to look. But when military radar and satellite data were analyzed, the search shifted thousands of miles away to the southern Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean is one of the most remote and unforgiving places on Earth. Storm-lashed, vast, and deep. If a plane had gone down there, finding it would be like searching for a needle in a desert of water. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. No wreckage, no oil slicks, no floating debris, nothing. And so, the theories began. Some believed there had been a sudden mechanical failure, a fire in the cockpit, a loss of cabin pressure. But even in the worst emergencies, pilots almost always have time to send a distress call. MH370 remained silent. Others pointed to hijacking. Suspicion initially fell on 2 passengers traveling with stolen passports. Could terrorists have taken control of the plane? Yet investigations showed no links to terror groups, and no organization ever claimed responsibility. Another theory was darker still, that the captain himself deliberately diverted the flight. Investigators examined his flight simulator at home and found that he had practiced long-distance flights ending in the southern Indian Ocean. Was this evidence of intent or just coincidence? His family and friends insist he was not capable of such an act, and no motive was ever proven. There were also wilder theories: a secret military operation gone wrong, an attempted interception, even suggestions that the plane had landed somewhere in secret. But without evidence, speculation only deepened the pain. It wasn't until July 2015, more than a year after the disappearance, that the first physical clue appeared. A piece of wing known as a flaperon washed ashore on Reunion Island, off the coast of Africa. Later, more fragments were found along the shores of Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania. These pieces were confirmed to be from MH370, but they raised almost as many questions as they answered. How had they drifted so far? And where was the rest of the aircraft? The main fuselage, the engines, the cockpit, the black boxes that could reveal the final moments. None have ever been found. For the families, the anguish is unending. Some cling to hope that their loved ones might still be alive, hidden away somewhere. Others demand closure, furious at the mismanagement and secrecy that plagued the investigation in the early days. Imagine waiting year after year, staring at the door, hoping it will open. Every phone buzz, every late-night knock, sparking hope that never lasts. The disappearance of MH370 changed aviation forever. Airlines now use better satellite tracking. International rules were updated to prevent another mystery like this. And yet, the central question remains unsolved. How can modern aircraft, watched by satellites and radars, carrying hundreds of passengers, vanish without a trace? More than a decade has passed. The ocean keeps its secrets. Perhaps one day, a breakthrough in technology or a chance discovery will lead to the wreckage. Perhaps the black boxes still lie intact at the bottom of the sea, holding the answers. Until then, Flight MH370 remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our age. A jet that lifted into the night sky and never returned. A mystery suspended between silence and the sea, haunting all who seek the truth.